Hey folks, Blackcross here, and I know this is kind of a different video than what I normally do, but due to what I've been through with this one, I figure I'd just do a review video, because originally I was going to do a gameplay video of this one, and it did not work out well, which I will explain later on, but I figure I'd do an overall review on my first impressions towards Nioh. Now, for those of you that probably haven't heard of Nioh before, is basically a Tamco game that has been developed, and basically the inspiration is basically that of Dark Souls. Basically, people are calling it a Dark Souls clone. But while there is good reasons why it is called a Dark Souls clone, personally, it feels a little bit better than just calling it a clone. I call it the next success of Dark Souls. And, see, here's the thing. During the gameplay that I played, I basically played a total of, 5 or 6 hours of this. Basically, the first hour or two was basically learning the gameplay mechanic. I spent, a whole hour of basically recording gameplay footage, and I was like, this isn't working, I don't like this. And at first I was judging it highly criticism, and I had a flashback, just all of a sudden a flashback, a deja vu of whenever I was playing Demon Souls many years ago. And I was like, no, I can't judge this game by that merit, I can't. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm gonna learn more about this game, I'm gonna practice gameplay and find out how this game works. And after playing it and learning the mechanics and everything, I can definitely give it a proper first impression review. And there are a lot of good things as well as a couple of bad things that I want to talk about the game. The first thing that I'm going to say is that gameplay wise, it is definitely far surpassive of a Dark Souls. I would classify this to be where Dark Souls basically took the form of medieval time. This is considered to be Dark Souls Meiji type feel, sort of like the Meiji era in Japan. And I like the way I think of that, because basically the gameplay of this is definitely different overall. For starters, where your attack is normally R1, R2, this one is basically square. It's basically smashing square, but there is a big difference. For example, if you hold R1, you will have an option of choosing from 3 different stands, which you can clearly see on the bottom right hand side of the screen. And those positions do different move sets. So in other words, each weapon you have do 3 different weapon styles. There's one for quick movement, heavy blown attack, and then there's a mid-range. And then there's the X button, which basically sheaves your weapon. The different weapons that there are, they're basically, as far as what I've seen in this game, which I say there'll probably be more as the game gets closer to being released, is that there are basically 4 different types of weapons. You've got the Japanese sword, the katana, and then you've got a spear, as well as a mallet, and also an axe. These different weapons, all 4 of them have different stands, and each one does better than the next. So you've got your light range, and then you got your heavy range. And I do recommend you experimenting with all 4 of them, because then you have a better idea of what type of gameplay style best suits for you, because of the fact that, the first weapon you will get will be the katana sword, but then later on you'll get the spear, you'll also get the axe, and then you'll eventually get to a mallet. But another weapon that you'll get is the bow and arrow, which personally I call that a lure, because you'll be you'll only get a max of 20, and no more will you get any more than that. But basically, that's to lure enemies towards you one at a time. Think of it like the pebble and rocks in Dark Souls and Bloodborne, basically. It's to help lure one enemy at a time. The other thing that should be mentioned as well is that while this may be an alpha, the weapons are all basically random drop. And then, if that's not the case, so is the armor. Again, it could be because this is an alpha, but personally, I kind of like that effect. It allows you to basically get any form of armor and weapon within basically defeating enough enemies enough times. But then comes an issue of a particular portion of the game that I did not like, which had it in Demon Souls, but considering that everybody is used to this ideal, I think we need to kind of get it a little bit improved. The durability of weapons and armor. The durability goes down relatively quickly within the hour. Like, if you continue to hit enemies, and enemies continue to hit you, your weapon and armor will degrade very quickly. And in terms of items, the only items you'll get is a whetstone, but the sad thing is it only restores weapons durability. So how do you restore your armor durability? There really isn't a way. It's not like how it is in Bloodborne or Dark Souls, where if you go to a save point, your armor degradability will get restored. It doesn't, unfortunately. It will break very easily, in which case you'll have to be very manageable about your armor. But the good thing is that you'll end up getting to a point to where you'll get better armor throughout the game. Like, for me, it was like within the 2 or 3 hour mark that I started to get better armor and equipment that allowed me to basically override the durability. The enemies themselves, both the humans and the demons, are very interesting, but they're also very overpowering. Like, we're talking like, if you were to match this up with Dark Souls and this one would flat out destroy Dark Souls. Like, this difficulty is brutally unforgiving. You have to literally be careful. And then if that's not the case too, you have to constantly manage your stamina. That's going to be the biggest thing, because if you run out of stamina, you'll have like a 10 or 20 second period of where you'll just run out of stamina, and you'll get a clear perception that you're going to get hit. But the good thing is that while your stamina does go down quickly, you get to check your enemy stamina. Right underneath their health bar, each enemy actually has a stamina bar, which you're able to analyze when they run out. And when they run out, this gives you a perfect opportunity to actually go in for an counterattack. The world itself is perfect in its own right because of it being Meiji-like design, meaning that the buildings are built relatively close. For those that are very familiar with ancient Japan or even anime style like this, you pretty much have an accurate representation of what people lived like. The problem is that when you put it into a Dark Souls formula, you don't have a lot of room for combat. Like, you would have a very small chance of survival if you fought into an area with a group of enemies. One-on-one fights, maybe you might stand a chance, but group of enemies, that would be even tougher. So, what I'm trying to say is that gameplay performance, I think this game has tremendous potential to be an excellent title. Like, I literally think Nioh would definitely be the next successor to the Dark Souls franchise. Like, From Software claims that they're going to end Dark Souls with Dark Souls 3, but I feel like that there could be more games like that they could work on. But until that time comes, Nioh, to me, is going to be the next line. Because from where we had Lords of the Fallen, which was a failed success from what I've heard. Have not played it yet, still need to. But this game does have some tremendous potential, and personally for me, I would really like to see this come out. And if I had to complain about a couple of things, one of them would definitely be the difficulty spike. Like, the difficulty itself, it is really hard, and the only way you can get around that difficulty is if you're able to attain really good armor pieces. And even early on of the game as it is, it's not easy to attain really good defense. And in a game where enemies can easily kill you, these are regular enemies, mind you, regular enemies can kill you within 1 or 2 hits, it's kind of overwhelming for any normal player. But if you're able to accept the difficulty of this, then gameplay wise this game has potential, and I personally would love to see them expand on this one. I can't wait to see what else this game has to offer. But if I had to be nitpick, I really would like it if the difficulty wasn't so extreme. But that's just me on that note. And personally, because I love Japanese culture, I really can't brutally look at this game in a bad way. I love the look and design of everything. I want to see this game grow and get better. And the only reason why I stopped after this first boss is because, personally, because of it being an alpha, there's no, like, real reason for me to continue onward. That, and I ran out of time, because this demo was only available from April 26th to May 5th. So, basically what I'm trying to say is, it is definitely really good. Love the performance, love how it's worked and everything to its advantage. I just wish the difficulty wasn't as high. Gameplay wise, I wouldn't change anything. The gameplay, I feel, is perfect in its own right. It does its own way of playing the game. It's not trying to be a Dark Souls clone, with the exception of the difficulty. Everything else is its own game in its own right. So, I want this game to work. But because of the fact that the difficulty is so high in this game, it's kind of like, how do you go about it? And yeah, at this rate, I'm just repeating myself. That's it I wanted to say, but hopefully you've enjoyed this. Let me know, if you've played the alpha of this one, let me know what you think. I want to know your opinions on this one. Because personally, I am looking forward to it. It's just, I think they need to work on the difficulty a little bit better. Either that, or have it to where you get better armor early on in the game. Because, like I said, it isn't until like 2 or 3 hours into it, you finally get really good armor. Like, really good. The only problem is that, armor-wise, I would not classify this as a fashion soul series. Because, in Bloodborne and Dark Souls especially, there is a term called Fashion Souls. This game, I don't see Fashion Souls coming out in the that early. But, yeah, that's all I have to say. So, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, just let me know in the comments below what you thought about this game, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.